7 o'clock, good morning, it's Easter week, Tuesday morning, Dominic Steele here, and we're looking at the trial of Jesus. And as the trial starts, it's quite straightforward as Pilate, the Roman governor, establishes that Jesus is king. Now, Pilate is just a minor player in the Roman administration. In our Western pecking order, he's something like the Shire Clerk of Wyong in country New South Wales. Basically, the Shire Clerk in Wyong has done a good job if the Minister for Local Government never has to worry about what's going on in local government in Wyong. Pilate realises when the religious leaders bring Jesus before him that this has got the potential to be ugly. This incident could be explosive. It could draw attention to him in Wyong from those people in Rome. That would blot his resume, and so his goal is pacify, appeasement, keep the peace. Read with me, Matthew 27, sentence 11. Jesus stood before the governor. "Are you the king of the Jews?" The governor asked him. Now, this is secular court. We've previously seen Jesus on trial by the Jewish religious court, but this is the court that is able to pronounce the death penalty, and the governor is Roman. And the Romans occupy the Jewish country, and the local Roman governor is charged by the Roman emperor with maintaining law and order in his jurisdiction. And the Roman governor's question is, "Are you the king of the Jews? Are you the one to whom the Jewish people would give their allegiance over and above Rome?" This is a very important question because the Roman emperor is the one in the Roman Empire who would be king. And so if there is another king, a king of the Jews, they're challenging the Roman emperor. Look at Jesus' response. Chapter 27, verse 11. Jesus stood before the governor. "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "You say so." It's an answer in the affirmative, but it's the same enigmatic affirmative that Jesus has used 3 times earlier that evening. Remember when the disciples were asking him which of them would betray him, and they finally got around to Judas, and Judas said to him, "Is it me, Lord? Am I the one who'll betray you?" And Jesus looked at him and said, "You say so." And then a little after that, when Jesus was on trial by the Jewish court and the high priest said, "Tell us plainly, are you the Christ?" And Jesus looked at them and said, "You say so." But significantly, Jesus here has confirmed to Pilate that he's the king, that he's the ruler, that he's the one in charge, that he's the one to whom Jewish people should extend allegiance. Jesus is saying, "I am the one who is rightly due honour and respect and allegiance and loyalty and service and obedience." Now, what do you personally say to this? I was listening to a talkback radio program years ago now. It was the time after lunch, so the announcer wasn't very good. And he was talking about a Muslim person who'd done something wrong. And this talkback host, it was a long time ago, they went on a general spray against Muslims. And his complaint against the Muslims was that they were different to other peoples of Australia in that they had an allegiance to Islam that was greater than their allegiance to Australia. And he said, everyone else, whether they're Christian or Anglican or Catholic or Baha'i or agnostic or Buddhist, they all get on fine because they put Australia first and then they fit their religion and their faith around that after that. But his complaint was that these Muslims wouldn't negotiate on their allegiance to Islam, to Muhammad. That came first. Now, I had a whole series of reactions to that rant. First, I thought it was terribly sad that the talkback radio host thought that I am an Australian before I'm a Christian. Secondly, I thought, why does he think that my faith and the faith of other Christians is so flabby and insipid that they can't see that we actually have a king? Third, I thought perhaps he can't see because Australia has been so dominated by Christianity over the centuries of white settlement that he can't see the difference between what a Christian is and the general way of life. Fourth, I thought that as our society moves, as it's rapidly moving away from any nominal allegiance to Jesus, then it's likely that that friction will become more apparent. And then that talkback radio guy will say in the future that the problem with these Christians is that they have a greater allegiance to their king than they have to our country, Australia, and he'll potentially end up with the same adverse reaction to Christians that he had to Muslims back that day. Fifth, there is a difference. Jesus teaches to obey the government. Obey the government that's over you, says Jesus, whereas Muhammad teaches his followers to walk towards, well, something different, to the establishment of his Islamic State. But let me come back to the first point. Are you a Christian, a disciple of the King Jesus, before you're an Australian? Faced with a choice between Jesus and Australia, which way would you go? More sharply, are you a Christian before you are yours? faced with a choice between Jesus and you, which way would you go? Who is the king of you? I tell you how you can tell. Ask yourself, when was the last time I made a decision to do something I didn't want to do that Jesus wanted me to do? If I haven't got anything to say at that point, then really is Jesus your king? And my suspicion, and I want to call us on this, I fear that that talkback radio host might actually be onto something when he cannot see the kingship of Jesus in the lives of Christians. Because if Jesus really is our king, if Jesus really is our ruler, we would be distinctively different. Hope you'll join me tomorrow, Wednesday morning, for 7 o'clock Bible time.